There is a growing segment of the population who, anytime you offer an argument, a counter narrative to what they hear from the mainstream scientists, news anchors, and other sources from the mainstream that they choose to consume, they respond with a simple question. Do you know more than a scientist? Are you a doctor? Basically, they are asking the question where your qualifications come from because you disagree with other mainstream individuals. Anytime I get this question in a dialogue, I always respond with another question. Have you ever been a cook in a restaurant? Oftentimes, that individual is puzzled, taken back, and many times they say no. Then I respond, if you've never been a cook in a restaurant, how do you know when you get your food and it is not cooked to your expectations that it is not cooked properly? Furthermore, I often see you having opinions about the president. Have you ever been the president? Only 46 people have the right to have an opinion about the president. And of those 46, less than 6 or 7 are still living. Many times these individuals understand the logical answer. They respond back with another analogy. When your car is broken, who do you take it to? The mechanic, right? When you're sick, who do you go to? The doctor, correct? When your toilet isn't flushing properly or other issues are transpiring with it, do you call the plumber? The answer, of course, is yes. Here's a difference, though. You cannot predict the future. You cannot predict what is going to happen tomorrow. If that were the case, you would have multi-trillionaires simply from the stock market, from sports betting, from commodity betting, and other future endeavors. When it pertains to, and this is what I say to them, when it pertains to plumbing, your car, symptoms, there is a formula in place that those individuals have used before. They are able to utilize that formula in order to fix the problem. Most cars that are made after 1999 have similar bodies, similar engines, although sometimes the blocks are different. Most toilets have a standard set of parts. But when you're trying to predict the market, when you're trying to predict the future, it is uncertain. The only thing that is certain about the future is uncertainty. The word expert derives from the word experire, which means to try. And this is a Latin word. These are 2 Latin words. And expertus. It is put together. Those 2 words are put together. And it creates the French word expert. Many of you who are into investing like myself probably are familiar with Jim Cramer. Cramer offers stock picks at a premium price. They are called Cramer's Picks. Many well-established news organizations and credible investment organizations like the Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, and others often create headlines that say Cramer's stock picks. It is considered very interesting information. The reason is because Cramer is considered an expert on the topic of stocks. Now, Cramer, in March 17th, 2008, when Bear Stearns was $159.96 a share, touted it. He screamed and proclaimed, "Trust Bear Stearns. It is a well-established institution." For those of you unfamiliar, Bear Stearns was an investment bank, which was around for over 100 years. Up until 24 hours of the market crashing, Cramer was proclaiming very bombastically that he was a fan of Bear Stearns. However, Bear Stearns was the first bank to go under in 2008, and Main Street, who owned pieces of the stock, ended up losing their investment. You could respond, and this would be a logical point, that, okay, you can point out one time Cramer was wrong. Anybody is going to be wrong. Even the best basketball player, Michael Jordan, who played for over 10 years, won 6 finals. He didn't win every year. He's still the best because of other metrics. That would be a fair and very balanced opinion. My response would be simple. Let's measure his full body of work. His full body of work would suggest, I looked at his stock picks from 2001 to 2017, which is a very long period of time where you can fully grasp how well he has done. He underperformed when you compare to the S&P 500. The S&P 500, which for those of you unfamiliar is the 500 wealthiest companies in the United States, were implemented in the stock market in 1957. If you look at an index fund from 1957 through 2021, that's because that year fully ended and you can measure the growth. It averages 10.67%. I know it is fun to act like you're an intellectual investor. I know it is very interesting to look at individual stocks. However, if you were to just invest your money into the S&P 500, passively invest it, spend your time on other endeavors like fishing, dating, working, other things, historically, your money would grow at a faster rate. There was another event that was similar to this. Warren Buffett made a bet with the greatest investment students. These were people with MBAs from Harvard, Yale, and the Ivy League schools. His bet was simple. He bet that over, I forget the exact time period, it was around 5 to 10 years, that if he invested into an index fund, simply in the S&P 500, left his money alone, let it move around, let it grow, whatever, that he would make more than they would if they were actively investing. Warren Buffett ended up winning the bet. It was $1 million. He donated it to Girls Inc., a charity for underprivileged girls, and won the bet. If those individuals are well-versed, well-trained, and their entire lives consist of trying to read the market, which is over thousands of transactions per day, over millions and billions of transactions per year, they cannot accurately grasp what is going to happen, then what makes you think you, when you're working 40 hours or more, you have family obligations, you got to sleep at least 5 to 6 hours a night, depending on your genetic sleep pattern, You have a life. What makes you think that you can invest like that? Jim Cramer and them couldn't do it. You're better off to invest in the S&P 500, let your money grow, and live your life. Here is a quote I want to read you, and then I will state who it is by. The growth of the internet will slow drastically as the Flow and Metcalfe's law, which states that the number of potential connections in a network is proportional to the square of the number of participants, becomes apparent. Most people have nothing to say to each other. By 2005 or so, it will become clear that the internet's impact on the economy has been no greater than the fax machines. That was the quote. Paul Krugman, Nobel Peace Prize winner. Think about this. This guy worked in the Obama administration. He won the Nobel Peace Prize. He predicted in 1999 that the internet by 2005 would start losing people. Another example. Remember the food pyramid? When I was young, I'm still young to this day, but when I was even younger, in school, we used to have a food pyramid that would measure what you should eat. This food pyramid had too much bread. Today, now, the government says it is wrong, that the food pyramid would make you clinically and physically obese. The point I'm making is you should do your own research. You should form your own conclusion. You should do your own studying. Another interesting thing, and then I will conclude. It was believed that until the year 1990, which is less than 50 years ago, it is around 30 years, a little bit over, that up until the age of 25, you would grow brain cells. After the age of 25, you would lose your brain cells. They now understand a new scientific thing called neurogenesis. Neurogenesis means that you're able to generate new neurons in your brain past the age of 25. You can do this by meditating. You can do this by exercising. You can do this by working or performing new activities. Now back to the point I was making. The point I was making is that just saying trust the experts, do you believe more than a scientist, is intellectual weakness. Rather than using your own cerebral cortex, rather than using your own neurons and synapses, you are deferring to the experts, quote unquote. Sometimes they're right. Not saying they're always wrong. I'm not one of those people that always say the experts are wrong. Sometimes they're right. But if you look at the markets, you look at science, you look at innovation, you look at inventions, you read history, you read economics, you understand that experts are fallible. Just like humans, to think anybody is infallible makes you very fallible.